scheduled to testify within the next few weeks before a U.S. Senate panel on the largest bank fraud scandal in world history that is currently unfolding and threatens to destabilize and destroy the Western banking system. And stop right there. For those of you who don't know what Libor is or what's going on with the quote-unquote Illuminati banksters, big banksters, getting taken down by this European and international criminal court case that literally could put them in jail. Robert Holmes, whose blue blood family links go back to the Mayflower, is known throughout the global banking community as being the creator of one of the most sophisticated computer algorithms ever developed, and is credited with developing predictive models for financial services, credit and fraud risk models, first and third-party application fraud models, and internet online banking fraud models. Educated at the University of California, Berkeley, Stanford University, Robert Holmes is currently the senior lead scientist with the American credit score company, FICO, which was formerly known as Farrer, Isaac and Company, and which every American citizen is beholden to should they need to borrow money. It's your credit score. Okay? So there you go. That's his father. Now, he's deeply connected in the science community, and they're trying to tell us he's just an average guy. Well, apparently not. Okay, he's not just an average guy. Average guy doesn't have this for parents.
He is the creator of an algorithm software that can essentially determine the sources of money, where it went, where it came from, and other details which can link to sources. This is a threat to the world elite banking structures and plays an important role in the Libor scandal, which threatens Wall Street and affects the common person. He was set to testify, and this could threaten banksters all over the world.
Matt, you have said, as the headline I just quoted said, we should be outraged, screaming, going nuts over this. This is the mega scandal of mega scandals. Why, and why are you so outraged?
Well, I mean, Libor is like the sun at the center of the financial universe. I mean, if they're monkeying around with Libor, I talked to one friend who works on Wall Street. He said this is like finding out that the whole world is built on quicksand, because Libor is in everything. It's in mortgages, it's in credit cards, it's in all kinds of investments that are tied up with municipalities and communities. So if they play with this rate, it affects everything in the world, basically. And this goes far beyond any corruption scandal we've had.
Give us a quick overview. What is it they did? I mean, explain it to folks for whom Libor is like a foreign language. We know the prime rate. Maybe we know, we see a credit card rate on the statement we get. What's Libor? Who is it? Who sets it? And what have they been doing to do this?
Libor is basically, it's the rate at which banks charge each other to lend to each other. So it's essentially every morning a committee calls up each of the 16 banks in this committee, and they ask them how much they've been charging each other to borrow. And they report a number, and what they've been doing is lying about how much they've been charging. They've been giving lower numbers, or sometimes higher. Actually, they've been tweaking it in both directions. But essentially, they've been faking their credit scores. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay. Now, I'm going to come back to the mechanics of this in a minute, because it's important in terms of how many other people almost necessarily were involved. This can't be one bank doing it because of the way they do it. The import of this is, as you just said, every interest rate in the world comes back to Libor. You futz around with Libor, you're affecting hundreds of trillions of dollars every day. Dennis, Matt is, I jump out of my skin and people know it when I'm upset. For Matt, this is exuberant. Dennis, do you share the sense of outrage that if they're doing this, this is corruption based on corruption based on corruption?
If anything, it's an understatement, Elliot.
I'm not prone to understatement, so explain to me why that is.
But, nobody should be surprised that we have yet another corruption scandal being done by one of these global too-big-to-fail banks. This is their business model. They are based on and have been based on for a long time of making as much money as quickly as possible in any way that they cannot get caught, because the entire business model is corrupt and rotten to its core.
First, Dan Oates